The scorching sun beats down on Highway 95, the barren Nevada desert stretching out in every direction, its heat rising in shimmering waves off the cracked asphalt. Sarah Williams, a 32-year-old Army lieutenant, grips the steering wheel of her silver SUV with steady hands, her uniform pressed and neat despite the long hours spent driving from a military conference in Reno. She's used to the quiet of the road, the hum of the engine providing a steady backdrop as her mind drifts to the keynote she delivered on rapid troop deployment strategies. But that peace is shattered when she notices the flashing lights of a police cruiser in her rearview mirror. It's only a brief flicker, but Sarah's instincts immediately kick in, tightening her grip on the wheel. She checks her speed, 67 miles per hour in a 60 zone. Just under the limit, she thinks. No reason for a stop. Still, something about the way the officer is driving, a white patrol car with a gold stripe, headlights off but closing fast, makes her uneasy. It's too deliberate, too purposeful. Her heart picks up pace, not with fear, but with the weight of experience. She's been here before. Pulling over onto the gravel shoulder, Sarah squares her shoulders, positioning herself as she always does when facing the authority of a badge. She's a soldier, strong, composed, and fully aware of the implications of being a black woman in uniform, especially in a place where her skin is often seen before her rank. The patrol car rolls up behind her, its engine growling like a warning. Out steps Officer Mark Turner, a wiry man in his late 40s, sunburned skin, and a look that seems to hold more judgment than professional curiosity. He approaches the window with a swagger, a faint smirk pulling at the corners of his lips. As he taps on the glass with an impatient knuckle, Sarah lowers it slowly, keeping her expression neutral. "Good afternoon, officer," she says, her voice calm but firm, as years of military training surge through her. "How can I assist you?" But instead of the usual greeting, Turner's eyes linger on her California plates, his gaze shifting to her uniform. The judgment is immediate. He doesn't answer her question. His lips twist into a sneer, and he leans in, as if the words he's about to speak will echo louder than her rank or any rights she might have. Sarah braces herself for what she knows is coming, a test, and she's ready to pass it, even if it means more than just a routine traffic stop. As Sarah Williams sits behind the wheel of her silver SUV, her body tense despite the comfortable hum of the air conditioning. She tries to push the nagging feeling in the pit of her stomach aside. The road ahead is straight and desolate, stretching endlessly across the Nevada desert, the sun beginning its descent toward the horizon. But the flicker of the police lights in her rearview mirror is unmistakable, a red and blue flash that slices through the oppressive heat and the dusty haze of the road. She adjusts the rearview mirror slightly, watching the patrol car draw closer. The cruiser's headlights are off, but she can feel its presence as if it's stalking her, waiting for any misstep, any reason to pull her over. Sarah's mind races back to years spent in uniform. Countless stops, countless encounters with officers who, for reasons beyond the law, have seen her as a threat. She knows the game, the subtle shifts in posture, the carefully measured words, the weight of suspicion that people like her often carry simply because of the color of their skin. But this time, she's not a rookie. This time, she's a seasoned officer, a decorated soldier who has served her country with pride. And she won't let any officer, no matter their badge or their attitude, make her feel less than that. The patrol car's sirens flick on, the sound almost too much to bear in the stillness of the desert. With a sigh, Sarah flicks on her blinker and gently pulls over onto the gravel shoulder, the tires crunching as she slows to a stop. Her posture is perfect, shoulders squared, hands firmly at 10 and 2 on the wheel. She's done this 100 times before, but today, it feels different. There's something in the air, something that makes her gut tighten. She's been through worse. She's survived moments on the front lines, seen death in the face, and fought for her life in hostile territories. But this feels like a battle of a different kind. As the patrol car pulls in behind her, she watches through the rearview mirror as Officer Mark Turner, a wiry man in his 40s, steps out from his vehicle. His face is sunburned, his uniform wrinkled, and there's a sense of arrogance in the way he carries himself that Sarah immediately recognizes. He's used to being in control, used to enforcing power without challenge. She can already tell, even before he approaches, that this won't be just another routine traffic stop. Turner's boots kick up dust as he walks toward her SUV, his flashlight cutting through the air like a blade. He doesn't speak as he approaches, just taps on the window with his knuckle, a sharp, impatient knock that sets Sarah's nerves on edge. She rolls the window down slowly, keeping her hands visible on the wheel and her expression calm. "Good afternoon, officer," she says, her voice steady, despite the underlying tension she feels. "How can I assist you today?" He leans in, too close for comfort, his breath heavy with stale coffee. His pale blue eyes scan her face with a practiced look of disdain, as though he's already decided everything he needs to know about her. She can feel the judgment in his gaze, the way it lingers just a little too long. It's not about the car. It's not about the speed. This is personal. She can tell from the way he sizes her up that this stop has nothing to do with any law she might have broken. Turner takes a step back and then asks, "License and registration." Sarah reaches slowly for her glove compartment, every movement deliberate, calculated to show she's not a threat. Her fingers brush the leather wallet that holds her military ID, but she opts for her civilian driver's license instead. She hands it over, palms up, making sure her hands are visible at all times. He snatches the documents from her, flipping through them with a quick motion, his eyes scanning her name, Sarah Williams, Los Angeles, California. His lip curls into something between a smirk and a sneer. "California plates, huh?" he mutters under his breath, loud enough for Sarah to hear. "You people always think you own the damn road out here." The words hit her like a punch to the gut. You people. She's heard it before, of course, but hearing it from a man in uniform, in this situation, feels like a direct challenge. She can feel her jaw tighten, the rage bubbling just below the surface, but she doesn't react. She can't. She's trained for this moment. Her entire life has been one long lesson in how to maintain control, how to keep her cool, even when the world seems determined to remind her of her place. With a forced calm, Sarah looks him in the eye. "Officer, may I ask why you pulled me over?" she says, her voice still measured, still controlled, despite the knot of frustration and anger twisting in her stomach. Turner doesn't answer immediately. Instead, he flicks his flashlight on, shining it directly into her face. Sarah squints against the light, but she doesn't flinch. She's not going to give him the satisfaction. "Speeding," he grunts, finally, his tone too rehearsed, too smug. "Clocked you at 10 miles over the limit." Sarah knows he's lying. She wasn't going 70. She knows her speedometer. But she doesn't challenge him yet. Instead, she keeps her voice even. "I didn't realize I was over the limit, officer. Must have missed a sign." But Turner's not listening. He's already moving on, his eyes narrowing as he inspects her military uniform, the oak leaves on her collar catching the light. She can feel him dismissing her rank, her service, all of it. To him, she's just another you people, nothing more. And that's when she realizes, this isn't just a traffic stop anymore. This is about power, about control, about him deciding, in that moment, that he has the right to decide what happens next. The tension in the air is palpable as Sarah watches Officer Turner, his eyes narrowing with suspicion. She's seen this before, the way some officers look at her, the way their judgment clouds their professionalism. He steps closer to her vehicle, his flashlight now flicking from her face to the interior of her SUV. She can feel his gaze on her, piercing through her uniform, through her calm composure, as if searching for a crack, a weakness, something he can use to escalate this encounter. "You got anything in here I should know about?" Turner asks, his voice dripping with suspicion. "Drugs? Weapons? Cash?" Sarah's pulse quickens, but her face remains a mask of calm. She's been in situations like this before, and she knows the script all too well. It's not about the law. It's about power, control, and a game he thinks he can win. She won't give him that satisfaction. "No, officer," she replies firmly, her tone steady. "Just my belongings and some paperwork from work." He doesn't respond immediately. His eyes flick back to her uniform, then to the scattered papers on the passenger seat. For a split second, she sees a flicker of hesitation, maybe a moment of realization that she might not be the person he assumed her to be. But it's gone in an instant, replaced by the familiar sneer. He steps back, shaking his head, dismissing her words like they're nothing. "What's a gal like you doing dressed like that, huh?" he mocks, his voice thick with contempt. "Halloween came early this year." Sarah's breath catches at the blatant racism, the mockery of her uniform, of her service. But she won't give him the reaction he's hoping for. She's been through far worse, and she won't let him bait her into a confrontation. "I'm a physician and a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Army Reserve," Sarah says, her voice crisp and authoritative. "I'm attached to a medical unit out of Fort Irwin." She hopes her words will shift the power dynamic, make him reconsider the way he's treating her. But Turner just laughs, a harsh bark that echoes through the silence between them. "Sure you are, sweetheart," he scoffs, his eyes narrowing. "And I'm General Patton." The insult stings, but Sarah doesn't flinch. She's heard worse, much worse, from people who don't understand the weight of her service, who don't see the value in the sacrifices she's made. But this isn't about her credentials. This is about a man who thinks he can break her with his words, with his authority. Turner steps back, twirling her driver's license between his fingers like a poker chip, a twisted smile still playing at the corners of his lips. "Stay put," he orders, his voice low and threatening. "We're going to have a little chat about where you really got this car." Sarah watches him walk back to his cruiser, her mind racing. This stop was never about speeding. It was never about a broken tail light or anything else on the surface. Turner doesn't care about the rules. This is a power play, a chance for him to assert dominance, to remind her that in his world, people like her don't belong in a uniform, don't belong on his roads. The longer she sits there, the more the reality of the situation sinks in. Turner isn't just harassing her. He's trying to strip her of her dignity, to reduce her to a stereotype, to a threat. It's a game he thinks he's winning, but Sarah knows better. She's been trained to handle situations like this, to maintain control, to keep her composure no matter the circumstances. Her phone vibrates in her pocket, a silent reminder that she has allies, that she's not alone in this fight. She knows the importance of remaining calm, of not escalating the situation any further. But the anger simmering just beneath the surface threatens to boil over. She has a right to be here. She has a right to drive down this highway without being harassed, without being treated like a criminal because of the color of her skin. As Turner disappears into his cruiser, Sarah takes a deep breath. She knows what's coming next, and she's ready. This isn't just a routine traffic stop anymore. This is a battle, and she's not backing down. Sarah watches Officer Turner disappear behind the cruiser, the weight of the situation pressing heavily on her chest. She knows it's not just a traffic stop anymore. She can feel it. The way he's treating her, the way he's scanning the inside of her vehicle like he's looking for a reason, any reason, to escalate things further. She's been through too many situations where the officers seemed determined to make things personal. But this is different. She knows it, and so does he. She leans back in her seat, her eyes shifting from the rearview mirror to the side mirror, watching Turner's movements. He's talking into his radio, his voice low and deliberate. Sarah can't make out the words, but she can hear the crackle of his transmission. His silhouette shifts, hunched over the dashboard, probably running her plates. Sarah knows what he's doing. He's searching for anything at all that will justify his behavior. It's a tactic she's seen before, and she's ready for it. She's not worried about what he'll find. She's worried about what he might invent. 5 minutes pass, then 10. Her hands rest firmly on the wheel, her posture unchanged. She doesn't move, doesn't fidget, doesn't give him the satisfaction of seeing her anxious. She's a soldier. She's dealt with worse than this, faced bigger threats. But the longer she sits there, the more her mind races, wondering just how far Turner is willing to go. The sun is sinking lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the desert highway. The heat of the day begins to dissipate, but Sarah feels the weight of the moment pressing down on her. This is no longer just about a routine stop. This is about proving something Turner doesn't even know he's trying to prove. He's trying to show her that he has control, that he can bend the situation to his will, that he can make her feel small, insignificant, like she doesn't belong. He thinks he can do that by pulling her over, by questioning her, by making her feel inferior in front of the flashing red and blue lights. She straightens in her seat, forcing herself to relax, to breathe evenly. She knows that getting angry, getting upset, is exactly what Turner wants. He wants her to flinch, to break, to show weakness. But Sarah isn't going to give him that satisfaction. She's been in far more dangerous situations, faced more intense threats, and she knows exactly how to maintain control. A few more minutes pass, and finally, Turner walks back toward her vehicle, his boots kicking up gravel with each step. His posture is different now, more confident, more assured. It's like he's convinced himself that he's in control of the situation, that he's the one holding the power here. As he approaches the window again, his smug expression never falters. "You stay put," he says, his tone heavy with authority, as if he's doing her a favor by even letting her breathe. "We'll have a little chat about where you really got this car." Sarah's heart skips a beat, but she doesn't flinch. She's not about to let him see her sweat. Her thoughts race, but she keeps her face neutral, her voice steady. "I'm not going anywhere, officer," she responds, her voice cool, controlled. Turner doesn't acknowledge her. He just turns on his heel and strides back to his patrol car. Sarah watches him through the rearview mirror, her mind working quickly. She's not just going to sit here and let him play his game. She knows her rights, and she knows that what he's doing is wrong. But in the moment, she also knows she needs to stay calm, stay focused. She can't afford to let her emotions get the best of her. She's been through too much to lose control now. As Turner starts speaking into his radio again, Sarah's fingers hover over her phone in her pocket. She doesn't reach for it. Not yet. She's not going to make a move until she knows exactly what he's planning next. She's not giving him an excuse to escalate the situation. She'll wait until the time is right. Finally, after what feels like an eternity, Turner walks back to her window, his expression still smug, like he's already decided how this is going to end. But Sarah isn't about to let him have the final word. She's not backing down. As Officer Turner walks back to his patrol car, Sarah feels the rising tension in the air. She's not a rookie. She's faced bigger threats in her military career, but the gravity of this situation weighs heavily on her. Turner's actions have gone beyond a mere traffic stop. This is about power, his attempt to assert dominance, to control her, to break her composure. She watches his every move in the side mirror, her breath steady, her grip tight on the steering wheel. Her mind races, calculating her next move, but she doesn't allow her body to react. If she gives him any hint of fear or frustration, he'll know he's winning. She watches as Turner leans into his cruiser, his face lit by the faint glow of the dashboard, his hand moving to his radio. He's talking into it, his words low and muffled, but she can tell from his body language that he's trying to buy time. He's running her plates, no doubt looking for anything he can use against her, anything that will make his actions seem justified. Sarah knows this game. She's played it before, though never with stakes this high. Minutes crawl by. Every second feels like an eternity. The sun is dipping lower, the desert sky turning a burnt orange as the temperature begins to drop. The stillness of the highway is broken only by the occasional rush of wind, swirling dust in the air. Sarah's mind is in overdrive, but her body remains still, her expression impassive. She knows that any sign of weakness could be taken as an opening for Turner to escalate things further. And she's not about to give him that satisfaction. Then, after what feels like an agonizing stretch of time, Turner strides back toward her vehicle, his boots kicking up gravel with each step. His face is a mask of smugness, a twisted sense of authority written all over him. He's convinced himself that he holds the power in this situation, that he can break her down with his words, with his threats. But Sarah won't let him. She's too seasoned, too sharp, to fall for his intimidation tactics. He reaches her window, his expression colder than before, his posture rigid, like he's finally made up his mind about what happens next. Out of the car, he orders, his voice sharp, his tone clipped. Sarah feels her pulse quicken, but she doesn't flinch. She's been in worse situations than this, and she knows exactly how to handle herself. She can feel the rage building inside her, but she stifles it. She knows she has to remain calm, cool, and collected. Anything else could escalate the situation. "Why?" she asks, her voice calm but firm, giving him no opening to misinterpret her words. "What's going on, officer?" Her body remains poised, not giving in to the tension she feels winding tight in her chest. Turner doesn't answer. Instead, he simply gestures for her to get out of the vehicle. His eyes narrow as if he's daring her to defy him. The command is not an order of law. It's an order of domination. And Sarah knows exactly what he's trying to do. He's trying to provoke her, to test her, to see if she'll resist. He wants to see if she'll challenge his authority. And if she does, she knows it'll give him the excuse he's been waiting for to escalate things. Sarah takes a slow, steady breath and unbuckles her seatbelt, moving deliberately. She opens the door and steps out, standing tall, every inch the officer she is. The desert air hits her, cool against her skin, but it does nothing to quell the simmering anger inside her. She's not backing down. She won't let him break her. She's been through too much in her career, too much in her life, to let someone like him reduce her to nothing. As she stands there, facing him, she knows the situation could go either way. Turner is trying to establish control, to make her feel powerless, to make her feel small. But she's been in high-stress situations before. She's faced hostile environments, fought to protect her team, and carried out missions in some of the most dangerous places on Earth. She's not about to let this officer, the man who sees her only as a target because of her skin, win. Turner steps closer, towering over her with his wiry frame, his arrogance spilling over. He issues another command, this time with a sneer. Turn around, hands on the hood. She doesn't hesitate. She turns, planting her palms on the SUV's hood, keeping her back straight. Every muscle in her body is on alert, prepared for whatever comes next. She's not afraid. She's a soldier. But she also knows that, in this moment, she has to play it smart. Turner is looking for any excuse to escalate, and she won't give him one. The heat from the hood sears through her uniform as she waits. She hears the jingle of his cuffs as he approaches, feels his eyes on her back. And then, as his hands move to her shoulders, she knows this stop is no longer just about a ticket. It's about everything that's wrong with the system. And in this moment, Sarah Williams, a soldier, a survivor, a woman of unwavering resolve, knows that she won't let it break her. As the minutes tick by, Sarah's heart pounds, her thoughts racing. She feels the weight of the moment more than ever. Turner is not backing down, and neither is she. Her training has prepared her for high-stress situations, but this one is personal. It's not just a traffic stop anymore. It's about him asserting dominance over her, about him trying to force her into submission. She won't give him that. Not now, not ever. Her hands stay firmly on the hood of the SUV, her palms pressed into the hot metal, the desert air stifling around her. She can hear Turner's boots approaching again, the sound of him coming closer, his footsteps heavy, purposeful. She doesn't move, doesn't flinch, even as she hears the jingle of his handcuffs. He's trying to intimidate her, to make her feel powerless, to show her that he's the one in control. Don't move. He barks, his voice low and threatening. You think you're better than me, huh? Sarah's jaw tightens, but she doesn't respond. She knows exactly what he's trying to do. This is his game, to break her down, to see if he can provoke her into a reaction. He wants her to make a mistake, to slip up. But she won't let him win. She won't let him reduce her to what he thinks she is. She's not just some woman on the side of the road. She's a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Army Reserve. And she has every right to be here, to drive this road, to stand her ground. Turner steps even closer, his breath hot on the back of her neck. She can feel the tension in the air, thick and suffocating. He's trying to get under her skin, but she won't let him. Sarah takes another deep breath, her resolve hardening. She's faced so much worse than this. She knows how to keep calm, to keep her composure when everything around her seems to be falling apart. This moment, this encounter, is just another battle, and she's ready to fight. Then, before she can react, Turner grabs her roughly, pulling her arm back, snapping the cuffs onto her wrists. Sarah's breath catches, but she doesn't resist. She stays still, her body tense but controlled, as she's shoved toward the patrol car. The anger inside her boils, but she knows this is a fight she can't afford to lose. The only thing that matters now is survival. As Sarah is shoved into the back of the patrol car, the cold metal seat digs into her spine, and the harsh fluorescent lights above buzz with a sickening hum. The cruiser smells like stale coffee and sweat, the air thick with tension. Her wrists ache from the cuffs, but she remains composed, her mind working rapidly to analyze the situation. This isn't the first time she's been targeted by someone who couldn't see past her uniform and her skin. But this time, the stakes are higher. This isn't just a routine stop. It's an all-out attack on her dignity, her career, and her very identity. She hears the sound of Turner's boots on the gravel outside as he speaks into his radio, the voice low and filled with authority. For a moment, Sarah wonders what he's telling his backup, what lie he's spinning to justify this latest escalation. He's trying to paint her as a threat, as someone who deserves to be punished for simply existing in this moment. And maybe that's what he truly believes. The cruiser lurches forward, and Sarah can feel the vibrations run through her body, her muscles tense with anticipation. Outside, the desert stretches endlessly, the sky now darkening to a bruised purple as the sun dips below the horizon. She watches the passing landscape in silence, her thoughts fragmented, focusing on the urgency of the situation. She's been detained, yes, but not broken. Not yet. As the car speeds down the highway, Sarah's mind returns to her training, to the countless hours spent in simulations, in scenarios designed to test her resolve. But nothing could have prepared her for this. The blatant racism, the power struggle, the twisted abuse of authority. But she knows this isn't the time to make a scene, not the time to risk everything. Patience is key. She needs to think strategically, to stay focused. The cruiser's headlights cut through the dark, and the sounds of the outside world begin to fade, replaced by the faint hum of the radio. Turner's smug voice comes over the speaker again, and Sarah knows that despite the false confidence in his tone, he's rattled. He may have control of the situation right now, but she knows something he doesn't. She's been in situations like this before, and she always finds a way out.